AITA, for refusing to share my inheritance with my father's new children. My father is an only child. My grandmother and grandfather were kind of disappointed with how he chose to live his life after high school. He wasted a bunch of his time and their money pursuing courses of study he didn't have any real interest in. They made sure he graduated debt-free and then left him to his own devices. When he married my mom, they helped pay for the wedding and gave them the down payment for their home. My mom and dad then spent the next 20 years goofing off. When I was born, I was pretty much given to my grandparents to raise. My maternal grandparents helped as much as they could, but they are back in Argentina. So I was basically raised as my dad's little brother, not as his kid. My grandparents came to my parent-teacher meetings. They attended my sporting events. They were my parents. My biological mother passed away when I was 12. I found out weeks later since my dad didn't bother telling anyone. When I was 25, my grandparents got taken within 2 months of each other. My grandfather went last, and in his will he left my dad $50. He left the SPA $50,000. I got the rest. They had already paid for my education. I thanked them and was planning on paying them back once my career got going. Now I have a huge old house and a rather nice nest egg. I'm 35 and my fiancée and I are about to start our family. My dad calls me out of the blue and says he has remarried, news to me, and that his wife is expecting. I congratulate him, not knowing what else to do. He said that obviously my grandparents would want their grandchildren to share equally in their estate. He said I need to talk to the lawyers and see about setting up a trust fund for this new kid and any future kids. I said that I was not splitting my inheritance and that it was his job as a parent to provide for his children. He tried saying that his parents hadn't provided for him. I asked him about his debt from 7 years of university. I asked about the money for his wedding. I asked about his mortgage. I asked him if he could please provide me with information about how much he paid towards my education, how much he helped me when I bought my first home, what he gave me towards my wedding. For the record, he got us a sweet stand mixer. He said that he didn't have the kind of money his parents had. I asked him how much he earned at his job. He said that he worked to live, not live to work. That was something he always said to my grandfather. It really hit home with me. He has spent his entire life on easy mode. I told him that if he is a competent father and his new kids finish high school, I will help them get an education. He said he needs money now. I asked why my unborn half-sibling needed money. It turns out my dad hasn't been paying his taxes. I offered to buy his house and rent it back to him. He said I was being an asshole like his dad and trying to control him with money. My wife is with me, but she thinks I was harsh and that his kid deserves a leg up. First comment, NTA, but you're opening yourself up to so much hassle and financial problems by ending to buy and then rent a home to him. He will constantly make demands, and as he expects a free ride from you, he will never pay a penny in rent. It will be costly, and he will make sure it's a drawn-out process to evict him, and you will probably have to sink many thousands to repair the damage he leaves the property in. You owe this child nothing, and as long as you don't say no, he will keep coming back and trying to find ways to take and to use you. Why would you open yourself up to that? Honestly, cut him off and watch from afar. When the kids near the end of school, have an investigator find out about him and his scores. Then decide if you will pay for further education or if it would be throwing money away. That's more than your father is ever entitled to, and you'd be doing it for the kid. Regardless, don't be a mug and open yourself up for nothing but hassle and disrespect. If he is going to lose his home, and if he needs money for his child, then he needs to work to provide it. If you are in the background, he will never feel he has no choice but to step up. He will only ever see you as his get-out-of-jail-free card, not his family or as a relative. He is also not the only parent to this kid, and this is their responsibility alone. Remember, he already lied to you and called saying the money was to set up his son's future when it was so he didn't have to pay money he owed others. Even if you decided to help his son later on for education, even if you decided to throw money in the fire by giving some to your dad, please never let him live in any property of yours, even if it's for a day. He will refuse to leave and cause nothing but stress and lots of money. I've seen people make this mistake before. It took many thousands of unpaid rent money for court, getting threats from the family and their friends and family. Lots of hate. Then bailing had to be paid for a bought-in with a police escort to remove them. He had locksmiths on standby to change the locks, but it turned out they needed new doors throughout and many windows. A whole new kitchen and bathroom. Dog crap and dirty nappies left to rot strewn everywhere. It took tens of thousands to fix the house, even had to buy a new boiler. The person had deliberately killed it in as an act of revenge when he realized he'd have to leave. Even the garden cost thousands to get the junk removed and wilderness cut back and cleaned up. This home had sentimental memories to my friend and this ruined it completely. He never intended to sell it ever, yet he did straight after it was fixed enough, as this broke him mentally. Oh, and parts of his extended family still bombarded him for evicting family like that. It's not worth it, no matter if you have the money to repair and waste all that. It's about the stress, manipulation, and hate he will bring into your life. Second comment, first, you don't even know if this supposed half-sibling even exists. Your father doesn't seem like the type to be too bothered about lying for his own gain. Second, even if the kid does exist, it is his problem and not yours. I love that your wife and others are kind and generous, but in 18 to 25 years you are going to be sliding fast into your retirement years. Hopefully you will have children of your own if you choose that path. Your primary responsibility is you and your family. I am guessing your wife, fiance would and will feel differently about your expected generosity if it came at the expense of your child and in favor of your father's additional spawn. You are most assuredly NTA. Be careful. Work with a lawyer. Get proof. Wait until the kid is born. Your father isn't going to jail for unpaid taxes, he'll just be in debt. Let him deal with it. You knew your grandparents best. How would they really react to your father remarrying, having a late-in-life second or more child, and being a tax scofflaw? Act as they would have. Third comment, NTA. But don't tangle yourself up financially with your dad, at all. Ever. Not even a little bit. I mean, you know how it'll turn out if you buy his house and rent it back to him, right? He'll stop paying you. He'll treat the house like crap. If you try to evict him, he'll give you the father of all guilt trips about how you, who is just reacting to his choices, and not him, the guy making the choices, of course, are making his children homeless, and then probably turn around and accuse you of being a slumlord to the judge. Like in Wikipedia, next to the entry of no good deed goes unpunished will be a gif of you sadly shaking your head. Just don't do it. As for your future sibling, make no promises to your dad about helping your sibling out. Any money you promise on this sibling's behalf while they're a minor is just enabling your dad to make you responsible for his kids' expenses so he can continue to fritter away his own money on himself. So make no promises and create a hard, never wavering boundary of saying a direct and definitive no to each and every request. If you waffle, even a little, it'll just teach him that the answer could be yes. He just needs to work on you harder, make the request seem more dire. That's the opposite of what you want. But what if his family is really struggling? Well, they should face that. And it's not about taking pleasure in someone else's struggle. It's that there are consequences to making poor financial decisions, and shielding him from ever experiencing the heat of those consequences is exactly what enables him to never learn. So even though it might be hard, you're actually helping him, in the long run, by not swooping in to save him. As for your future sibling S, if you want to save some money for them for college or whatever, that would be lovely. I would just caution you to save in such a way that your dad can't ever get access to it. Even during college, to save your sibling getting pressured behind the scenes to turn over the cash or it getting intercepted forcefully, I would keep it in your name and make it known to all involved that you will be paying whatever you're agreeing to pay directly and not through the sibling. So if you're helping cover tuition, for example, then it gets paid directly by you to the school, no making sibling into a middleman. It'll help keep your dad's mitts off it and keep your poor sibling from feeling pressured to turn it over because it'll never be in their possession in the first place.